Ready?
Good evening. The Lapeer Community School Board of Education meeting is now called to order, and we will begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. So I will turn that over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce Mrs. Jennifer Christian, who is going to introduce some of our Turtle students who are going to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Mrs. Christian.
Yeah, so tonight we have Lincoln. Is I supposed to come right up here? We have Lincoln and Everly and Maisie and Maverick and Jackson.
Holy cow, the whole school's here. This is awesome.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Nice job. That might have been the best pledge of the year. Security. Give it these unruly citizens, please. Sergeant at Arms.
We appreciate our visitors.
Can you see that headline? Elementary school students arrested at local board.
Okay, this evening we are going to go into our next agenda topic, which is our board candidate interviews. So our former Lapeer Community School Board of Education trustee, Mrs. McKenna, has recently submitted her resignation as of October 23rd, 2025. By law, the Board of Education must fill the new vacancy by appointment within 30 days. The new member will fill the vacancy through December 31st of 2026. At that point, the seat will be placed on the ballot in November of 2026 election for a 2-year term. And that 2-year term is January 1st, 2027 to December 31st of 2028. So this board meeting, being our only board meeting during that 30-day time frame, we will do our best to select the most qualified candidate this evening to fill the seat. After the candidates present to the board, board members will submit their nomination and we will have a discussion will take place about the nominated candidates. So after the nomination and the discussions, then the board will take a vote for the candidate, and then the candidate will then be sworn in to serve on the Board of Education and join us at the table for the remainder of our meeting this evening. So this evening we will hear from 2 candidates, Casey Carpenter and Jack Smith. Each one will be given 7 minutes to answer the following questions. The first one are, what are some of the challenges facing schools today, and what ideas and contributions could you offer to address them? Second, what are some of the challenges facing Lapeer Community School? How would you address them? 3, what are the roles and responsibility of a board member? And 4, what would you like to see changed or expanded in the district, and how do you envision your role in the change? Are you looking at me like, oh, okay. And then the 5th question, sorry about that. How has the guidance of Article 8, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution influenced your answers to the earlier submitted questions, the 1 through 4 that I just read? Or how may it influence your decisions when addressing subjects of board concern in the future? So we'll be giving you 7 minutes, and then we may just ask clarifying questions, but we will not be asking any new additional questions. So, Mr. Casey Carpenter, would you come up, please? And Mary will time you. She probably will say 1 minute if you're, getting close to the 7 minutes.
And there is a taser.
June, why would you come to these? So good luck.
Yeah, first one, first date.
You're standing on a little map right now.
Jack, you leave. Like somebody turned the heat up in there.
Whenever you're ready.
Whenever I'm ready, so, you guys ask the questions then?
No,
or
you
just-
can just,
Okay,
just go
Freelance.
through them.
freelance it, all right. Well, I think, question 1 and 2 are fairly similar. A lot of the issues I think that are facing schools in general are forefront of Lapeer as well. Funding, uncertainty, declining enrollment, ever-changing family dynamics, health and safety issues, falling test scores, teacher retention, and cost of operations increasing. As I was putting together my answers, I tried to not relate everything to business, but it kind of kept going back that way. I own my own business, and a lot of these questions, a lot of these issues, if you just changed a couple words, would be the same issues that you face every day in business. So I think some of the answers or the way that I would address them is one, you always need to lead with integrity. Make sound decisions, stand by your decisions. Voting for a sound and balanced budget. I think that's the biggest thing that we as a board could probably do is make sure that we're managing through the highs and lows of funding, not knowing when or what that amount may be. So make sure we're maintaining a budget that will account for shortfalls or delays in funding so that we can keep programs continuous without too much interruption. Same thing I do every day, you have to approach different issues from multiple angles. There's not always one right answer or wrong answer. You have to think about the consequences that your decision will make, and not everybody's going to agree or be happy with it, but you have to weigh those decisions and think about the different options that come with it. I'm not here to scream that the system is broken here. I think like anything, there's always room for improvement, and just being able to build on the foundation that's already in place, make some tweaks, some suggestions, and continuously move forward. Question 3, as far as what the responsibilities of a board member are, I think that the first one is approve a balanced budget. That includes analyzing different line items and things to make sure that you understand and agree and things work out. Hiring and evaluation of the superintendent. And work on the visions and the goals of the school district, be the kind of the liaison between the community and the board and the school district itself. I feel like I'm just kind of rambling here.
Keep rambling.
We're listening.
Question 4. I don't remember exactly what that something.
What would you like to see changed or expanded in the district, and how would you envision your role in that change?
Things I'd like to see, probably a little bit more robotic support and recognition. We have a couple really good club robotics teams, and I've been an avid supporter of them and involved. I'm going to advocate for more support. I'd like to see more trade and career-ready programs, and I know some of that's a balance between ISD and this school district, but obviously there's influences different directions, but that's something that I see firsthand. And since putting these together, I've had multiple conversations with different people about need for more tradesmen and things that are out there. Also programs that promote some entrepreneurship. As a business owner, I think there's definitely college, non-college, career paths, and I just want to make sure that we recognize both directions and maybe put a push on some skills to train and encourage people to go into business ownership and strike out on their own. Question number 5. So I guess I believe there's 2 parts to that. One is you read Article 8, Section 1. It talks about education and a means to acquire it are forever to be encouraged in the Constitution, which I 100% agree. We probably all agree that that's why we're here. So if that's the part that we're talking about on in the question, I mean, I'll always vote and look forward to promoting education and continuing it.
Thank you.
Oh.
Your mic turned off. Thanks, Casey.
That's it.
Thank you. Yeah, at least it wasn't a trap door.
Yeah.
Jack, could be.
Just anything needed to be clarified? Okay. Mr. Jackson?
All right, I'm gonna go just a little different direction. I wrote it, so I'm gonna speak it, but I will get to your questions, the questions. So, again, my name is Jack Smith. My wife and I have been residents in Lapeer for 10 years. Actually, she's been a resident for her entire life, or in the area for her entire life. She was a teacher at Lapeer Ed Tech for 25 years, recently retired. I am currently a realtor with Coldwell Banker, and we are small business owners, Perfect Peace Memorials. Used to be Macomb Monument, formerly Macomb Monument. So some of my local background, I was a member of the Optimist Club for a short time, a member of the Lapeer area entrepreneurs, and a member of Country Christian Church. And we are also very active in the community with the sponsorships through Lapeer Days. We do Lakota, Kiwanis, Justice for Lily. So we try to be as involved in the community as we can. I actually was even a substitute teacher out at Ed Tech for a little bit, for on and off for 5 years, so I kind of got my feet wet in that. As a person, I think I'm very strong-willed, and more often than not, I fight for the little guy or fight for the underdog. I tend to dig my heels in for issues that I feel strongly about and passionate about. I don't very often play favorites, and I will never, ever claim to be left or right. I claim to be a U.S. citizen, a Michigan resident, and a proud Lapeer local. What I want best is for my country, my state, for my family. That being said, I believe that an active Effective school board must comprise of active members, impartial members, and open-minded members, not a board of a few leaders and several followers. Now, I'm not saying that this board is made up of those members. I'm not familiar enough with the dynamic of the board, but that's what I feel needs to be a balance with the board. I'm hoping to contribute to this balance and bring my impartial opinions and some of my wildly outside the box ideas and try to make the Lapeer area schools the best they can be. So I'll get to the answers to questions 1 and 2. I agree, they're kind of the same question. What are the challenges facing the schools today? Student well-being and mental health is a big issue that I've noticed through my wife being a teacher and substituting. There's a rise in anxiety, depression, and stress. There's behavioral issues. Chronic absenteeism is a problem, and the solutions, in my opinion, are identification of these issues and the ability to handle and work with these issues. We need to arm the teachers with the tools to work with these issues and arm the counselors to deal with these issues. Second, there's an academic learning gap. COVID hit everybody really hard. And being a substitute teacher after COVID, I realized the kids came back and they were way out there. It really hit them hard. We had our youngest son was a senior. He didn't get to walk at graduation. Had a tremendous effect and impact on him. So I think that we need to realize that the second graders at that time are 7th graders. And so I think they're still affected by that. So we need to identify that and try to find ways to help with that. Teacher recruitment and retention. Again, teacher shortages. Low pay, overwhelming workloads, stressful conditions, and burnout. We need to find a way to make them feel more wanted and needed, and I'm not sure what the solutions are for that, but that's kind of where we're at. Number 3, the roles and responsibilities of the board members. First and foremost, the safety and welfare of the students, and to help provide them with the best educational resources as possible. We need to establish the long-term visions, missions, and goals for the school district, reflecting on community needs. We need to create and enforce policies and monitor the district's performance. I think those are some of the things that you do, and I might have taken some of these right out of your bylaws. The board hires and evaluates the superintendent. Fiscal oversights, approve the budget, control expenditures, manage facilities, and I know there's a bond issues or bonds that you're working with right now as far as building and what to do with that money. I think that's a very important thing. And also work with the community. We need to serve as a community link between us, the school system, and the public. I think the public sometimes feels ill-informed, and I think that gap could be bridged a little bit better, make them feel more supported, more heard. Just need to build more support in the community and try to get them on board. What would I like to see changed or expanded in the district? This is a question that I find hard for me because it would be a new position to me. I don't have kids in the school system. My kids are all in their 20s. I think that would be one thing that would be beneficial to me on this board. I would bring a fresh voice and maybe bring fresh ideas, something that other people don't see or you don't see. Might be able to help in that, but I had a hard time with that question in general. The last question, how has the guidance Article 8, Section 1 of the Michigan Constitution influenced my answers to the earlier submitted questions for 1 through 4? 1 minute? Okay, so this is the Michigan Constitution. That's what it says. Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools, and the means of education. To be honest with you, I never thought about it. I hadn't considered this when I was doing my homework. I researched the questions, came to my conclusions and statements based on my religious beliefs and my own moral compass. I try not to stray too far from either one of these at all times. Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary for good government, happiness in schools, and education. I believe this 100%. We really shouldn't forget what we were built on. religion, morality, and knowledge. It's really pretty simple. Thank you so much, you guys, for letting me talk to you and be here tonight. I appreciate your consideration, and I know that in the end, you'll be led to make the right decision. And thank you.
Thank you. Any clear?
I did not do it. I wrote it and put it away.
It was 20 minutes of rehearsal. Exactly. You always speak faster when you're up at the podium.
Anything clarifying? Okay. So now what I would like to do is open it up for a nomination for a candidate appointment, and then we can get into discussion.
I'd like to make a motion that Casey Carpenter be appointed to fill the vacancy on the Board of Education for the term ending December 31st of 2026. As a previous candidate who ran for the Board of Education and lost in a very close race, I believe that Casey has continued to show his activity and his love for Lapeer in the district. He's a robotics team mentor. He's involved in the football team. And as a business owner in Lapeer, he is very connected with the Lapeer community. I believe because he is a parent of an LCS student and he is very dedicated to Lapeer, I believe that he is someone that could bring a fresh voice to our board. And as someone who can relate, I was in the same position years ago when an opening on the board became available. I submitted my name for the potential appointment, and I lost that appointment to my esteemed colleague, Greg Watson. But I was advised.
We all make mistakes.
But I was advised by then Board of Education member, the Honorable Judge Mike Nolan, to pursue my passion and run again if I so choose. His encouragement and kind words resonated, and I ran in 2020 and I won. I just wanted to share that if whoever does not win tonight, if you choose to pursue that, please consider running again when there is another vacancy or when it is time. I will be running next November. So, just thought I'd let you know that.
Okay.
I'll support.
Okay. So, do we have any other discussion on this motion and support that we have on the table?
I think both great candidates. Jack, great to see you out here doing this. Casey, appreciate you following in what you started last year, running for it and seeing the opening and jumping to it. So that's fantastic. So I like that we had candidates here to do it. So no other comment for me.
Okay. Any other discussion points?
We can do another nomination.
We can do another nomination.
I'd like to nominate Jack Smith. I think he's got a lot of experience. I think I liked his answers as far as some of the issues we are dealing with. They're real, and I think being a local, in the area, I don't know. I really like his answers.
And I'll support.
Okay. So we have two nominations on the table. Any other discussions on the candidates at this time before we go ahead and seek a motion for a candidate?
I think they're both great. That's the problem, right? I mean, we're in a conundrum here because honestly, Casey's just, it is tough.
Any other? Okay, so I need to have someone to make a motion of a candidate. And I guess if we feel so need that we have two motions in 2 seconds, we can do a round of vote for both. If that's what the board would like to do, we can do that as well. But
I think you have to make a motion.
we do have a motion and a support for one. I think Lisa wants to,
I know,
for
but
hers.
you have to do the first one.
We can do that. We
Robert's
can do
rules tells you have to do the first one,
What it
either vote it in
says,
or not.
what it says is we need to make a motion or a nomination to discuss the candidates. Then we need to make a motion of one of the candidates.
Okay.
So what I would like is a motion of a candidate and a second on that candidate.
I make a motion to nominate Casey Carpenter.
Okay. And do I have a second?
And I will support.
Okay. So, we've already had a discussion, so we'll take a round of vote. Mr. Novak, or Dr. Novak, I don't know where my brain is, I'm so sorry. Dr. Novak, I've got rough feet.
That's the first time I've ever been called it.
Well, hey,
I'm just kidding. I'm teasing. All right.
okay,
No.
okay. Mr. Lipka,
I'm gonna vote a yes.
Dr. Watson,
I vote yes.
Mrs. LeVar,
Yes.
Mr. Van Wagner,
No.
and my vote is yes. So our motion carries. So, Jack, it was really, honestly, a hard decision, and we really appreciate you coming out and honestly encouraging you to please take the next steps as well in an election that comes up in November of next year to run. Because, again, I think we have fabulous candidates this evening, so I really do appreciate
Well,
it.
thank you very much.
Yes.
Well, and I'll just also add that in my time here, April is not the only candidate that vied for an open seat through a nomination, through a resignation, didn't get the appointment, but ran in the following election and actually won. I think there, in my 15 years, there's I think 2 or 3 candidates that happened to. So this is kind of
Yes.
like step one in actually doing it. So I also want to echo Summer's encouragement to do that.
I think it's happened twice since I've been here.
Yeah, in a short time, yeah.
Yeah. So with that, Mr. Carpenter, would you please come up to the table, and Dr. Novak will administer the oath of office.
Right up there.
Oh,
Right in the
Yeah,
middle.
right here.
Right in the middle, yeah, you're not talking up there anymore.
Now you're,
All right. Are you ready? This is the oath of office for the Lapeer Community School Board of Education for the term ending December 31st, 2026. Do you accept the position of member of the Board of Education of Lapeer Community Schools? Are you a qualified school elector of Lapeer Community Schools, registered voter in our district? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of this state, and that you will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of the member of Board of Education of Lapeer Community Schools according to the best of your ability? Congratulations.
awesome.
You're like me.
Don't
They
leave
did
Jack.
for it.
Time's a ticking. So Mr. Chairman, get that license to make sure it's real.
You hold it up, make sure.
He ain't mine.
Official.
Okay.
She's got the, seal.
You just signed your life away.
You have to leave a credit card on here. Any shortfalls?
So then, please
Yeah.
have a seat at the empty spot at the table. That's your official seat. Congratulations. Okay, now we will go ahead and proceed in the rest of our agenda for this evening. turn it over to you, Superintendent Wandry, for a special presentation.
Thank you, Madam President. At this time, it's my pleasure to formally introduce Deputy Kurt Jim, alluded to his presence here. But as the board is aware, we have a very unique circumstance in Lapeer where we now own our own canine. And we share that responsibility with and costs and access to said dog with the Lapeer County Sheriff's Department. As you also know, Deputy June serves as one of our district-approved school resource officers, and he is here tonight after being gone for several months for formal training and weeks.
A month and a half.
Well, we missed you so much, Kurt.
It felt like forever.
It felt like forever.
I'm not gonna lie, week 5, I was ready to come home.
So, with that,
Yeah, so this started last October, actually, a year ago, when I was approached, said, hey, would you be interested in a canine? And I said, yeah, heck, that'd be fun. Going through everything, finding things, trying to find ways to pay for the canine, I made a phone call because I was given Jason Johnson's number and said, call, because I was looking for grants. I'm like, hey, how can we get this dog so it's little cost to the school district for an 8 to 10 year investment? He started talking dog stuff to me, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm fresh to it. So when he's like, is it a green dog? You want to pass him track? I'm like, do me a favor. I'm gonna give you a number of our canine deputy at the office, and you can talk to him, and he'll give you a little more information about what we wanted. 20 minutes later, I get a phone call back from our canine unit and said, hey, he wants to donate the dog in training. So just so you guys get an idea about that, that here for us to buy a dog and get the training was coming between $20,000 and $30,000. He donated that value. Wow. He did get a little bit better deals. If you saw the paper article and all that stuff, he got a great deal on it. He works with this trainer out of Alabama, Canine, which then I had to go to Alabama Canine for 5 weeks. Supposed to be 6, we talked him into 5. What I found out is Alabama's someplace I'll never live. I looked at the one trainer, he's been doing this since '87, and said, and he's 72 years old. I said, why do you live in Alabama? He goes, well, I said, the heat will kill you, the bugs will kill you, the snakes will kill you. And just, he goes, the snow will kill you. The ice will kill you. So, down there for 5 weeks, I met Jody first day. They gave me a kennel to put in my minivan, and the dog was with me from then until now. She is a German Shorthair Pointer, 19 months old. She is trained to detect ammunition, black powder, firearms, just munitions, just to keep the kids safe. Every morning in Zemmer, because that's where I'm at most of the time, we walk the halls, and I walk next to lockers, and kids don't really realize, but she is sniffing everything that walks past. She has a better nose than all of us. For our training down there, not only did I train her, but we had 5 green drug dogs. The 3 detection handlers trained them as well. So we got to learn how this whole process works. She's also a passive tracker, which means she has no criminal apprehension. The one thing when they said it, I said, we're not putting any biting, we're not doing bite training, we're not doing attack, anything. No chasing. This dog has to be nice. And I will tell you, when I do bring her in here, she's a delight. She really is. They told me I was getting a German Shorthair Pointer, and what did I see? My buddies had German Shorthair Pointers for hunting dogs, and they were wild. And they were I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. I'm going to be throwing a ball all the time. But that's Jody up there. I had the privilege of going to meet Jason in Tennessee while I was down in Georgia. It was a 4-hour drive rather than an 11-hour drive. So I went there and she got to meet Jason. Jason donated this dog in his late sister's name, Jody. That's where the name comes from for Jody. And then when I first started talking about it, I said, hey, if we get a dog, we're naming it Storm to go with lightning. So her full name is Canine Deputy Jody Storm. And I got that approved by Jason. I did. I was like, hey, can I add Storm to the end of it? He thought it was a cool idea. So in fact, Jason texts me weekly. He really does. He wants to know how this dog's doing. He heard about our issue today with Lapeer County. Were you involved? Well, I was, but now with the dog. So, but she's in here. Kids ask, can we pet her? She's a working dog. I'll tell the kids no. Teachers pet her all the time. She can be pet, but she's got to know she's working. So if I say here, she's got to know she's got to come with me. If I say, where's the spiel, which is her command to search, she's got to do that. A kid can't go, oh, she's cute, and her go this way. That's what they got to understand. I talked with Matt Monday, kind of said, hey, what's the expectations of her? What are we going to use her for? When are we going to use her? I might get called out. There might be a lost kid. Last Thursday, we had a 16-year-old up in North Branch, suicidal, jumped out his bedroom window. I just got the Zemmer, I turned around, went up that way. They found him before I got there. Good thing. All right. Otherwise, I'm looking for a suicidal kid out there. I will take her on something like that. The thing we had today where that guy might have jumped out with a gun and took off running, she's not going to attract that type of criminal. All right. A kid, a lost person, an elderly person that's lost, those are the ones that go on to. This 60-year-old might have had a pocket knife on her. Okay. That's what we'll use her for. I also have used her at Schickler already. A kid that was having a hard day, we'll put it that way. And I walked in there with a dog, just to calm. She's not trained to calm kids. But they see the dog and like, oh, I want to pet her. I want to be nice. So that's another reason that we have her here too, is that she can go around to the kids and try to do it. High schoolers even like, oh, look at the dog. They melt when they see it. And it's like, hey, stay back. She's a working dog. And mostly I explain to all the Zemmer kids this way. You walk into a new school and you have 40 people come up to you and want to talk to you right away. What happens? You're overwhelmed. 5 people do that to her if they all want to talk to her at one time. She starts trying to hide behind her. She's a person. She's got this personality. You'll love it. All right? But I did hide a scent in here earlier. So I'd like to go out and get her. I just went out and tried making her, take a break, but she didn't want to. So I'm hoping she doesn't leave. So I'm going to go grab her. I'm going to bring her in. You will see that we do a ritual. I'm going to come in the room. She's going to lay outside the door. I'll come in and I'll just do a little lap. She should stay laying out there. And then I'll get her and I'll come in and I'll give you where's your spiel? And we'll work a pattern in here. A normal pattern in here would be a lot different than I'm going to do tonight. All right? Because most likely we'd have nobody in here if I'm searching for something. One thing I forgot to mention is she's also trained that if people are walking past her and have any type of gun scent on them, she should hit them. I tested that. We have 5 or 6 people walking, one would have it in their pocket, we would walk up behind them or be in there to make sure she hit it. So say we're at the football game at the gate, we can be walking back and forth at the gate, hopefully keeping that much safer place. So it's just another level. All right? Any questions before I go get her? We have questions later. All right. Matt, do you want to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. He's helped me before already when I brought him.
That's fair fetch.
She gets primary rewards.
I've got a pretty good sniffer too.
She is primary rewarded, which means that when she finds the scent and indicates on it, the reward shows up. A ball, a toy, something shows up at that spot. And then she gets to play with it. I mean, hey, another job. I get to play with a dog all day.
Sure, where is it? Sorry, behind you.
Jen, it's right by Jen.
Oh.
I put it by there.
By the criminal. Stranger danger.
Yeah, this is a fairly unique thing too. There's not a whole lot of districts that own their own dogs. So, and she does have a great disposition, and I think to watch the kids and staff react when she comes in, it's just a nice little ancillary benefit to the fact that she's also, to Kurt's point, is a working dog and is there to protect them, but she's just very non-aggressive, very congenial and passive.
And Jason graduated from here.
Yes. Jason's a good graduate, yeah. And he's built a monster organization. That organization is, this nonprofit, is considerable national influence.
Yeah.
So what I'm trying to do is, my job is to fix it. So I'd walk around the room. Where do I want to go first? We're just going to do an exterior. So she should do it pretty quick. Is it in here? Oh. knock stuff down. Oh, you got it. Oh, there it is. Good girl. She will play with she will play with everybody. Just so you know. Here. Good. Good. And then you play with it for a little while.
So cute.
She is.
Did she throw it again?
19 months. Wow. Sit there. Oh. Yes. Not accessorizing the dog.
Jen's going home tonight.
Every female that is seen at work has said, oh, you need to get her. In fact, the detection guys down there, the last night we were there, I almost slept in my van because I thought they were going to go out there and paint her nails pink. She's a dog, but she's not a sissy dog. Get it. Get it. All right. What questions might you guys have? So if you're interested in smokeless powder scent on 2 cotton balls over there.
How sensitive
How sensitive is she?
for picking that up versus if you were to take her someone who's at the gun range versus someone who's walking out in the public?
It's gonna be about the same. I've heard, and then she hasn't done it yet, but I've heard of one other dog that guy walked in, they stopped him, and he'd been out bird hunting that day. And it was on his hands. All right. So it doesn't, it's kind of like in Fourth Amendment, right? Search and seizure. She indicates on him, I can ask, hey, you happen to have a gun on you? I was walking with my sister-in-law in Tennessee, and she started walking over behind my sister-in-law and smelling her backpack. She goes, oh, I got a gun in there. Does that matter? Can I
You know how your family never pays attention when you tell them what you do for a living? That would be exhibited.
Legally, can they carry guns? Yes.
Oh, you were serious about that whole dog thing.
But they can't have it on school grounds. They can't have it concealed on school grounds. It should not be open carrying. She did hit the car, so we trained her on property. We had a sergeant who took his magazine out of his gun, put it in the back window of her car, and she hit on that. Spent casings, we threw 2 down, and she hit that from about 20 yards away. Yesterday it was a starter pistol. We were training and threw a starter pistol out in the field, and she was about 10 yards away from it when she finally found it. It was a windy day too.
So the second travel and she.
The second, and that's one thing, I've tested things at Zemmer. 22 magazine in an empty locker. Half an hour later, she barely hit onto it, moved it, went an hour and a half later, and she hit on it right away. So it takes the permeation of that scent to get out from wherever it's at. It doesn't matter if it's in a plastic bag, it'll get out. Yeah. So it'll
Go carry my weapon in the vehicle all the time, right?
yeah.
Obviously. How long would that scent last inside that vehicle?
I can't tell you the answer to that, because it's gonna depend on the environment, what's going in and out of that vehicle, you know, what sprays have been in the vehicle, have you cleaned it?
The answer to that is no.
There's no answer to when or where or how. Now, we trained in the same spot every day, and I'm sure there was residual scent everywhere in that place, and she still hit on everything. You know? So I was.
If you, like, I would say practice training with her.
So I have to train 8 hours of pay period. So every 2 weeks I have to have 8 hours. Daily I hide something on her, or have somebody else hide something on her, and we go find it in one of the buildings. So daily I am training her. She's 19 months. From what I was told down there, it'll take a good 2 years before her and I are a great team. So it's still working daily. My 15-year-old son loves to go run, so hey, go run. I think the longest track we did was just over 900 yards, and she found me. So yesterday we did tracking. So we have a group of handlers, Genesee and Lapeer County. We get together every week. We trade where they go. This week was Lapeer County, so I went with them for yesterday for about 6 hours and we trained. So that covered a lot of it, but I also have other stuff. If I hide something, it's counted as a half-an-hour training. I have to hide it, have to get it ready. You let it set, and then you go out there and So I've done 15 minutes, hour and a half, 10 minutes, immediately go look for whatever we did. She's hit it. Familiar with Zimmer? Anybody go down the media center from the office area and walk straight out? I put it in the very last locker. 7 o'clock in the morning, at 7:40, I started walking the halls just to see what we do. We got all the way around to the band room hallway. She lifted her head, went back and forth, and started dragging me to the hallway where that stuff was at. The kids walk around that building pretty much counterclockwise.
Yeah.
It would make sense if the scent got pushed all the way around to the band room area. So, and I just want to see what she does. I'll have other people hide it because I don't always want to know where it's at. You know, tonight it's like, hey, let's give her an easy one. But,
So, how does she not, like, she's with you, how does she not just mark you all the time? Like,
She doesn't
I'm just gonna sit here and stare at you.
So I sat in the chair the first day we were here. She came over my gun, smelled it, sat down. I didn't give her a ball. I didn't give her a toy. You don't get paid if you're fighting them.
Okay.
Or other officers or whatever.
Okay.
You know, we were at the SRO meeting and the other deputy was standing there and she smelled his gun and sat down. I'm like, no, she didn't.
I know he's got a gun.
So
I can see
her,
that one.
her whole goal is she's been trained to believe that these toys don't smell like whatever she's looking. We start with a toy that she put cotton balls in, put 5 different scents in that one toy. Throw it out in deep grass and she goes and picks up and retrieves the toy. So she's learning these toys are scented. Then we take it and we break it apart to individual scents and hide those in different places and never hit on those. That's how she gets individual scents. That's what she's supposed to do.
But she's always just looking for a toy.
She's always looking for toys. I go in the sheriff's office, I put a ball in her mouth before we walk in.
Otherwise she's barking at everybody.
The first day I went in there without one, went up to the secretary's desk and she stuck her nose in one of those little cable holes and sat down. She goes, my gun's mounted to the desk. I didn't bring a ball in with me. What do I pay her with? I gotta find something.
Well, I do have to say that, you know, as thankful as we are to Jason and his organization, locally, the person responsible for this is Kurt. He was very persistent, and that is a really kind way of saying it. But when we started talking about the cost, you know, it wasn't in the cards. You know, as much as the benefit, you know, it's obvious benefit, but you're always doing a cost benefit analysis of you know, just what our current financial situation is. And when we started getting into the $30,000 to $40,000 range, it simply was not something that we could process. And because he was persistent, because he, you know, reached out and did the research and found this wonderful opportunity, that's why Jody Storm is here. So thank you to you, Kurt.
You're welcome. And she's fun. I can play with her. He asked me the other day when we were here, he goes, so we just play with her after she finds it? Every time.
So we are officially changing jobs.
Can you please administer the oath of office to Kurt? I'll take Jody home.
I know.
It's infatuated.
Yeah.
It is. And originally, when they came to me, I have a 2-year-old German Shepherd. And I'm like, oh, maybe we could train her. And I got talking to a trainer, and he's like, does she do this? Does she do that? Does she have a ball drive? And I'm like, what's a ball drive? Now I know what ball drive. If I pull a ball out, and she's sitting there, you'll hear her tease her going, look, because she wants that ball. And they have certain characteristics they look for in a dog. My dog at home doesn't have anything.
Ice cream.
She's a good pet. She's a good pet. Right?
Awesome. Well,
And
thank
they
you, Kurt.
obviously get along too, right?
So what you're gonna see me do, I'm gonna walk out the door and I'm gonna throw the toy back in the room. I'm gonna throw the toy back in the room because she's always looking for a toy. So I throw it out of sight. So it'll be thrown back in, she'll be around the corner, she won't see it. Then we go get in that car and she goes, okay, we'll get it next time.
So does she live with you?
She does.
Okay.
Yeah, and she goes home with me. I got a 15-year-old son and my wife who don't have a hard time understanding that she's working with us. So my other dog gets 25 toys, she has the 5 that we use.
How do they get along?
They get along fine. My other dog doesn't really care for her, doesn't really fight. She comes over to lay down next to her, and I'll get some more. She gets so she stays in a crate at night. She has lived in a crate since I got her. But we have a kennel at home, so if I'm home during the day, I can put her out in this 10x10 kennel and she can run around in that. If I'm in the yard, she just stays by herself. But they love her, the kids love her. Like I said, my 15-year-old just wants to love her. Dude, you can't. I was doing a training session with her, and he came out, she just wanted to go play. Okay, we got to get done with the playing. So I've taught him how, hey, when you toss a ball, you're teaching her to keep. And I just threw him a ball and have her come back and say, here, Fooligan, and she comes. Now, the kids love it, we talk Dutch to her. It's Sitte, it's awfully good, it's Fooligan, it's all right.
Awesome, thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much.
Let's go. Don't knock that over.
Okay, we will head into our presenting school this evening. Superintendent Laundry.
Thank you, Madam President. I don't think we've ever had this kind of build-up
I know.
prior to. I know. What tricks do you guys do?
It's not a fun fact check.
I'd like to reintroduce Jennifer Christian, our distinguished principal at Trill Elementary, to share with us, she brought some staff, on goal 1-3A. Jen.
Hi, welcome. I don't know if I really want to follow the dog now, but so with me tonight, I'm really fortunate to have our instructional coach, Jessica Oliver, fourth grade teacher, Alyssa Darby, and first grade teacher, Stacey Silverius. So we're excited to share the ways that our building is very intentionally focusing on the development and implementing of the learning targets. So the board goal that we chose was 1.3A. Through our professional development and PLC discussions, our staff identified the need to strengthen our understanding of learning targets, specifically how to effectively use them both in lesson planning but in classroom instruction. Based on this, we chose to focus on this goal for our building. So it's 100% of all K-12 units of instruction are aligned to appropriate standards of lessons containing clear learning targets and success criteria as evidence-based in unit and lesson plans. So why this goal? Not the first time you guys have heard about learning targets. They've been around for quite a while. So learning targets are definitely not a new concept. However, the ways in which we can apply them and enhance teaching and support student growth continues to evolve. It's important to note that a bit of our current makeup is with the Trill staff. We have a relatively new team. 62% of our teachers in the building are on the probationary track. And following not only that, but we have several new teachers in new grade levels following the reconfiguration. So a lot of learning of new curriculum. Just as we differentiate instruction to meet the diverse needs of our students, we are differentiating our professional learning for our staff. Our goal is to take a deeper dive into the learning targets and better understand how we can drive both effective teaching and meaningful student learning. With the implementation of the new Envisions math curriculum for K-4 and updating our updated reading and writing program, teachers expressed a desire to move past just simply completing lesson plans. They wanted to gain a clear understanding of the intent of the learning outcomes, what students were truly expected to know, and also to be able to do. So the focus on the learning targets helps us to ensure that instruction is purposeful, aligned, and centered around student learning. During our open professional development this year in August, we were introduced to FAME, formative assessment for Michigan educators, and the benefits of formative assessment. We explored and discussed the 5 key components of FAME, in both depth of the framework, thus engaging students in quite some meaningful reflection and conversation. Through the process, teachers identified learning targets as an area of focus that they wanted to focus on in the building. They recognized the importance not only in understanding the goals of each daily lesson, but also having a clear vision for the end of the unit learning outcomes. So in short, they realized that to guide students effectively, they first needed to know where they were headed. So we created a learning target for you guys today. I can explain the components of learning target in order to justify the importance in guiding and the learning process. So we're going to begin with the learning target.
So I get the fun part. This is from the experts in our building, which are our children, our students that are there, and we get to see exactly what they think they are and how they're guiding their own learning. So we're going to go ahead and play this video for you.
Target is an I can statement.
What is the learning target?
It helps you learn. I think the learning target is where it makes you learn better and better and better.
What is the learning target?
A learning target is like, this is my way of saying it. It's a target, and you start, like, if you're at H books and then you keep learning and learning and learning, you can go all the way to don't hate books. And that's how the hero gets the actual target.
What is the learning target?
A learning target is something you, like, keep your focus on.
Go ahead. What is it?
A learning target is a goal.
What is a learning target?
A learning target is what we're learning and aiming for.
What is a learning target?
Something you're focusing on learning.
Okay, what is a learning target?
It's a target that you have to do, like a goal when you're learning.
What is a learning target?
A learning target is like a goal that you're trying to achieve or learn.
Okay, so a learning target, the actual definition that we've come up with in our building, is a clear, concise statement of specific knowledge, understanding, or skill that a student should achieve or demonstrate at the end of a lesson or lessons. So in my classroom, I'm going to send it back to my classroom and how I use it in my classroom. It's actually one of my goals for the year to improve using them and being so clear and direct with my students that they independently look for them in my room when they're doing small group instruction on their own during stations or centers. So one example would be, so they're posted in the back of my room, but during small center groups, there's little, I like display things and they're on there, and the kids actually walk up to them. They are taught to read them, and then at the end, when they're done with stations, I will pull everyone together and say, you were here, what was your learning target? And then they reiterate it back to me. So it has really made a huge impact in the learning in my classroom and the, I guess, the personal drive that the students have for it, like their goal of what they want to learn. And the one student you saw in the video in the pink jacket that talked about the reading from, I think, L or something to W, H to W. She is my student, and she is one who, when I started putting the learning targets up in the classroom, she would come up to me, even like while I'm in another small group with kids, and say, this is my learning target. So I do see them being impactful with the students, and I'm hoping that other teachers are seeing that as well.
So, from other teachers in our building, here are some examples on where they're displayed. So a lot of times you can see it on a board, they're clear. You'll notice that in lower elementary, like your kindergarten, first grade, they use a lot of pictures with their learning targets. It's kid-friendly. Anybody that can walk in the classroom can understand what the kids are learning at that moment. Even a substitute can walk in and understand the goal. And what does it look like for me in fourth grade? I really started asking the kids, what is the goal? And I put it on anchor charts. I put it on our daily slides every day. I put it on graphic organizers. And when the kids are like, Starby, I'm done, what do I do next? Because they do this a million times a day. I say, did you accomplish your goal today? And they can say yes. And I said, what evidence can you prove to show me that you accomplished that goal? And they can give me the evidence, and if not, then we work more towards the goal.
So as a staff, we've really been looking at the importance of learning targets for both the students and the teacher. So we just have a little chart up here that shows how important they are for both in the classroom. With students, they're very important for focus and direction. It lets them know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. It reduces confusion. It helps with kids not just guessing. And then self-assessment, it gives them something to monitor themselves with. Motivation, like Stacey was saying, when there's a purpose, the kids are more motivated to do something. And then clarity of relevance, so it's giving them the big picture. It's tying in what they're doing on, on a daily activity to that bigger picture for them. And then for teachers, obviously, for our planning, it's very important. We are really trying to focus on using our learning targets for designing assessments for the kids, for clarity and consistency for teachers as well, so they have a clear path when they're teaching, and then it opens the door for a lot of feedback. Student feedback, yes. So one of the ways that our teachers are really exploring learning targets more in depth is doing some stop and checks during lessons, which is a form of formative assessment. So this is a second grade class that we're going to show you. And this is something they've really been working on since probably like the second week of school. The teachers started practicing with them how during a lesson we're going to stop, we're going to monitor our learning, we're going to think about what we're doing. So we're going to let you guys watch this really quick.
Stop and show.
What do we know?
Who can raise your hand and tell me what was your goal during reading today? Nice and loud. Or sorry, what was your goal during reading today?
Give details of why a text is fiction.
Alright, so you're going to turn and talk to a partner and give them the detail of why the book that you were reading today is fiction. And go.
Mine was fiction because
So in this video, they were not for to share. They're like, no. In this video, you can see that they are referring back to their learning target. They're really monitoring their own learning. What did I learn about fiction? They have a chance to share it with others. So they did just a quick turn and talk with people at their table as one way that the teacher could then walk around, hear what they're saying, and give them some feedback and kind of assess their understanding. So another activity that we could be using to formative assessment, and some teachers are using, is an activity called Fact or Myth. You guys should have a little fact or myth card on your table. We thought we'd do a little formative assessment with you right now.
Turn the video recording device
So
off.
this is very similar to the traditional like thumbs up, thumbs down. It's just a do you agree? We're not going to go really into depth with it, but in the classroom, it's a great opportunity to see what the kids understand and to catch any misunderstandings that might arise as well. So I'm going to give you a statement, and then you're just going to hold up if you think it's a fact or you think it's a myth about learning targets. So the first one is, learning targets are only used in lesson end. This is sorry.
Just follow. He's not completely official yet, okay?
We're letting him vote on his
Let him
first
learn.
name.
Let him learn.
So, I'm guys. They're definitely part of lesson planning, but there's so much more. Teachers are using them all throughout the lesson for the learning after. So, the next one, learning targets are specific and measurable. That's a fact or a myth? So see, we have a misunderstanding. This would be a great time for, you know,
Yes, we are. Yes, you are. Go right ahead.
That was so gentle. That was so gentle.
That was
Pro.
nice. Thank you.
That's
You're
pro.
teaching and not us.
So we want them to be clearly defined. We want them to be measurable. We want to be able to see that the kids are able to understand. So we use one word. Next one. Yeah. Learning targets demonstrate understanding, not just activity. Yeah,
You're right.
So, it's not just doing page 5 in the math book. It's really, are the kids grasping the concept? Are they seeing the bigger picture? So, like Jen had mentioned earlier, our building goals started at our first PD. We broke down the components of formative assessment, and one of those components is learning targets. And our teachers really identified that that was an area that they wanted to work on. We have lots of new teachers, but we also have some veteran teachers, including myself. I've been here for 20 years. I used to be learning targets back with Ken Chanserick. And even I feel like my thinking about learning targets has evolved and is constantly changing. So we really talked about wanting to dig deeper. Then we had our instructional rounds, our teacher-to-teacher instructional rounds. So teachers went around to each other's classrooms and kind of saw what we were doing day in and day out. And we once again said, you know what, we love what we see with the learning targets, but it's something we want to do even more with and really utilize them throughout the day. And then we had our administrative rounds, and again, learning targets were highlighted during that time, as well as going a step further and using the learning targets for direct questioning and for feedback. So that's sort of where we're at as a building. We're really focusing on how can we take those learning targets and use them to dig deeper with our students and to give some quality feedback. And then that was just, we kind of broke down the components, and where there are all the sticky notes, those are the places where we felt like we were really strong. And then you can see learning targets. We definitely felt at that time that we had a good start, but we've really been working to enhance those in our building. So
Then our staff worked as a team to come up with next steps using all those different components and the things that we went through. So collaborating to align and design our learning targets based on the standards, and then utilizing the curriculum within that, making the learning targets student-friendly. Sometimes they can get up on that board and you have it in your head, but the students are not understanding it. So really focusing on making it more student-friendly and geared for them. Being purposeful, really using the formative assessment to hear what they've learned and then where to take them next. Looking at those, and then aligning those, every question that's asked to be very specific to the target in order to dig deeper. And then we've been taking all of those and using them within our PLCs on Tuesday mornings and really looking at those PLC questions and using those formative assessments and the learning targets to where are we going next? What data do we have to drive our instruction to get students where they need to go?
And I think we talked about too, Matt talked about at the beginning of the year, that maximum impact. And that's what we're trying to do with our learning targets, is get the maximum impact with our kiddos. So thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, comments from anybody?
Well, I got the question wrong, but.
Thank you for that, Jess. We'll never hear the end of that.
My thought process was, is it the same for every child? Clearly it can't be, but so, could you elaborate a little bit more on that? Like, how do you, every child can't specifically have the same goal. I mean, in your classroom, obviously you're trying to teach them something, but how does that work when you have kids that can't get there? I mean,
So I think like Jen had mentioned, within the learning target, there's a lot of differentiation. So we have this goal, like let's say they're working on using multiplication to help divide. Like that is our goal, and we want every third grader, fourth grader that's doing that to be able to be successful with that. But it might look different how they get there. So the scaffolding, the differentiation. Anything else you want to add?
Just like we differentiate in every aspect of the way, our goal is to continue to push kids forward. So then, as we're using those formative assessments and those goals, that PLC is a huge piece. The teachers bring those data points and say, hey, these kids have already got it, what are we doing with them? These kids need some support, here's what we've already done, what are we doing for them to get them to that next step?
I wanted to say it's neat that when they were reading, you make it improve what they're reading is actually, how, what, why is it fiction? Which goes back to math for me, right? We had to do all the proofs and theorems, all that stuff, and that's higher math, and you're like, fine. Why do I have to prove that, X and Y is Z, right? But once you did it, you don't have to prove it anymore. It's done. It's settled. It's in your brain. It is what it is because you proved it to yourself, right? So, so taking that concept that I know of just from math, but then applying it to other things like reading and stuff like that. Now they don't have to think of why is this fiction? No, it's fiction because this is what's happening. They don't have to try and figure it out the whole time. They can just read the story and know where they're at. So, yeah, kind of cool.
This may strike your ear funny. This represents fundamental shifts in instructional practice. If you think about how many of us were taught, it was, I'm a teacher, this is my lesson plan, I'm gonna deliver it in a way that comports with my training or how I learned best or what I was comfortable with. And then you'd hear this phrase, uttered in every single classroom in every state, in every city in America for decades before a test from a teacher. Good luck, right? It was a big mystery. I taught for X amount number of days or weeks, and I gave you the assessment. When you really hear what they're saying, the root of this whole thing, at least for me, is everything they do is intentionally driven by student feedback. Not just at the end of a 2-week or 1 month or 3-day lesson, every day. So now you've got teachers who are training themselves to drive what they do, not just tomorrow or next week or next semester, but in the next 5 minutes. Now, if in that turn and talk, if you were hearing 7 or 8 kids misdefine or mischaracterize fiction or give the wrong evidence, as a teacher you could say, okay, maybe I didn't do a great job explaining that because we're not getting it, right? So, we talk about that phrase, maximum impact. Maximum impact means I can redirect my learning on the fly, in the moment, as I'm learning and training my ear and my eyes as an instructor to pick up on that informative feedback. Feedback before I'm done finishing the quote-unquote lesson. And I really liked your question about how do you differentiate and individualize it, because you can't just have this generically stated goal, we should all be able to do X, and assume they're all going to do it the same. But this does represent a fundamental shift in how we move education forward writ large. I think fundamentally is encapsulated in this presentation, because if we just continue to just get up there and drone on for days and hours and lessons upon lessons and hope that kids, because their eyes are open, get it, we're definitely missing the mark. So this is, I don't want the board to miss the underlying shift that this represents.
I think you said it well. The kids are help guiding their education. They're a major component of how we help teach them what they need to learn. I mean, they don't really know probably this little, but that's a really essential component.
Well, I was going to say too, the other thing is not just a teacher teaching, and X amount of kids pick up on it, great, awesome. Now their kids are lost. But when you're asking each kid to define why they're proving their target, and they're all the same target. This kid understands what that kid just said, and it just, the light bulb went off, because the teacher made no sense to me, but what they did, that made sense, because they're on my same level.
Not that any of this happened to any of you, but a generic statement.
Yeah, but no, sometimes, you can see it, there's that blank look in their eyes, and then all of a sudden the kid next to them says something, they're like, oh, okay, because they're on the same level kind of, and so it's kind of neat that they're getting it reinforced by that person knows it, that's how they know it, and they know it for a different reason, but that made sense to me. That one made sense to me. Oh, now that makes sense what the teacher was trying to say, and so it just kind of helps them all kind of come together, right? So it's kind of a neat process. So, great job.
I was going to add, maybe it's just because I'm so much older, but I was thinking as I was looking at the target in the arrow, that what is old has become new again. I remember a time when in teaching classroom assessment, archery terms would always be used because understanding a target and the distance between that target, missing the mark, right? That's where we get the term sin distance. Not because it's a disqualification, but because there's room for improvement. So.
Any other comments?
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
I think you did a great job, Connor.
Thanks.
We basically forgot about that, though. Mission accomplished.
Is that a time for throwing this
I'm not answering.
Good call.
Okay, let's head into our reports. We have the Finance and Operations Committee. Dr. Watson, could you please share with us the committee, right?
Yep, I'll be happy to share this one because it's the shortest one I've ever had.
It's right here on the next page.
It's on the next page.
Man. I wanted to read that.
It's still short.
All right. Okay, so October 31st, 12 o'clock via Zoom. Myself, Summer, and Lisa were attending with Matt Wandry, Mark Rader, and Mary Moss, who started it, like I said, at noon. And we discussed the 31 AA funding. The district receives a series of grants through the state and federal government on an annual basis. 31 AA is a state-funded grant typically utilized for mental health support and safety security initiatives. The committee discussed this grant, including the current conditions required to accept funding and the overall impact to the organization. The meeting was adjourned at 12:32.
Thank you, Dr. Watson.
Bet.
Any questions or comments? Okay. We will then head into action items. So we have our consent grouping, approval of minutes of October 8, 2025. Any consent grouping items anyone wishes to be removed? Okay, I'm hearing none. Can I get a motion?
I make a motion that reading of the minutes be waived and approved as presented.
Support.
Okay, I have a motion and a support. Dr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Lipka?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBar?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
I'm abstaining from not being present.
Yes. Mr. Van Wagner?
Aye.
Mrs. Putnam says aye. Motion carries. Okay, that concludes our action items, so we'll go into our board communication topics. Any topics for this evening?
I have one, big shocker. I passed out. All right, so.
Yeah, we're not getting rid of this. Hey, Mary,
Laminated,
yes.
So I handed out this flyer to the board members and the administration team. This is something that is near and dear to my heart. This is the Jeremy Allen LeVar Mentor to Youth Memorial Fund. My husband passed away 4.5 years ago, and his name was Jeremy LeVar, and he was a very active community member, as well as myself. And his brother, his brother's wife, and his brother's wife's father created this fund to memorialize my husband and the work that he did in the community, and they wanted to continue. So they've paired up with the Lapeer County Community Foundation as a donor-advised fund to benefit the youth sports, scouting, and other youth-related extracurricular programs in the Lapeer area. With the help of Lapeer County Community Foundation, this fund has been set up as a 501c3 charitable organization and is being fully funded by Gina and Jason LeVar and Gina's dad, Steve Wazorek. This is a fund that I had previously wanted to start. However, I just did not have the ability or the mental fortitude to wrap my head around it. And when they surprised me with this a week and a half ago, of course, my reaction was overwhelming and lots of happy tears, because it's another way to honor his legacy in this community that we moved to and made our home, raised our children in, and made such great friends and just wonderful contacts in this community. And it's just another way to continue. And so Giving Tuesday is on Tuesday, December 2nd, and any donation helps. And if you choose to give to my husband's memorial fund, it would be very beneficial to the kids here in Lapeer. And it is something that we want to go into perpetuity. I'm going to be creating a Facebook page and trying to just get more awareness out, and I'll be mailing these out so you guys don't get them in the mail. But I'll be sending them out to friends and family who have supported us in the past, and I appreciate the opportunity to share that with you guys. Thank you.
And Casey, that's why you bring your credit card.
It's on file now. It's on file. Mary Brandon.
Matching donation.
This is fantastic. Thank you very much for sharing. Any other topics this evening?
As no longer the most junior member of the board, welcome Mr. Carpenter on board. This part's just between the two of us, so nobody else is supposed to hear. You know, they're going to put you through an orientation time. There's a sheet on there on the second floor where you each get an office. If you find it, just tell me where the stairs are.
Bring us the pool. Just ask me, I'll be in my office.
That's great. Why is John on the roof again?
There's one chair up there and a TV table. So I just want to make sure that we let Mr. Goom know that we're very thankful for him bringing Judy here. Jody Storm. It was a great thing for him to bring and let us meet. Of course, you know, I get to see him more often than most. So. But Casey, welcome aboard. I know that from what you had talked about, you know, a few of the things that kind of instill in me is robotics and trades, right? Because that's what I came from. So it's near and dear to me. So I wish you all well.
Anything else?
I just wanted to say congratulations to Julie Pecor, who got the MCAD. I think that's a cool, right? I mean, I started, right, I work at a college, so near and dear to my heart, but, yeah, she got the Michigan College Access Network, Award, Impact Award, so for 2025, so.
For high school counselors.
Yeah, for high school counselors, so she's definitely connecting students to college, and I think that's really cool. So I'm excited that we have someone representing our district.
Very nice. Very good. So before I turn it over to you, Superintendent Wandry, I apologize. I did skip over the public comment this evening. However, we did not have any public comment. So, but I just want to make sure I make a note of that, so I apologize. With that, I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. Casey, welcome to the board. This is, I've always said that being a member of the Board of Education is one of the most difficult volunteer positions in any community because the school districts are truly the epicenter of any small town like Lapeer. And what happens with our young people is and should be the focus of all of the committed adults and business owners and parents and grandparents and employees and folks in the community, because they truly, they should be focused on what we do, and the governance structure and who represents the district is certainly a very important thing. So thank you for committing to that, and putting yourself in front of the community along with these fine folks deserves our thanks. And to Jack as well, and your family and friends who are here today, stepping out and doing this, putting yourself out there to be scrutinized and judged and voted on in this public way is no easy task. It is certainly not for the faint of heart. For many people who don't enjoy public speaking, it is, I think, the second greatest fear of any person next to death. So, but we do appreciate it. And I think what you heard tonight was not just lip service, right? By coming out and declaring that you have an interest in serving this community as a member of the board, there are many opportunities to participate in school district activities from a community perspective. The other component of this is we need your input, right? As someone who desires to be a part of and be heard and be a liaison between the Board of Education and the community, yes, sitting up here in a formal capacity is one way to do that, but there are many, many informal ways to do it as well. I just want to encourage you to do that if this is something you truly desire to do in the future. So thank you for doing that. I want to offer, on behalf of the district, our prayers to the Elmont community for what they dealt with this morning, and continue to deal with. It was a scary moment. This morning, my phone just exploded with news of an active shooter situation happening in one of our neighboring districts, and thanks to the fast action of our local store resource officers, I know Lapeer Township Police was a responding agency, the city of Lapeer as well. I'm certain that the Sheriff's Department was involved as well. It did involve our community, and so I did speak with the Elmont superintendent today and a number of other of my colleagues in the county, just in relation to what this means for school districts. And so when there are, I've been the superintendent here for 15 years, and there's been a number of incidents that happen in the community where, not directly involving schools, we are compelled to respond to protect kids. It was a difficult time because it was the drop-off window of time for elementary students. So going into secure mode when you've got hundreds of students getting off buses and out of parent cars to get safely into buildings behind locked doors with staff that are there to protect them is a difficult task. And so we have a very streamlined communication system in the district to get that type of information out to adults as quickly as possible. Literally went into a secure mode across the district, and 5 minutes later we're out of it because of the fast action of our first response community. And that is something in Lapeer that we can just never take for granted. The number of agencies that we have, the ability for them to co-communicate and include other agencies like the school district, I've never seen anything like it. I got 3 phone calls from 3 different agencies within 30 seconds to be able to make a very quick decision about what we should do here in Lapeer School. So that was not necessarily the case everywhere. So prayers for the family, the community of Elmont, in dealing with these situations, which very unfortunately are just happening too close to home, with the issue in Grand Blanc at the church, now to our east in Elmont. Obviously, 4 years ago with the Oxford situation. Every time we think these situations are a world away, they're happening next door. The Colt team and I, on an annual basis, visit every single school building in the fall and every department in the district, and just by way of giving an update of what's happening with the district at large, also getting some feedback from some employees about the good, the bad, everything in between. And one of my messages this year, among others, was as adults, we are literally the first line of defense for these situations, and it's just important for us to be engaged in the process of our Alice training, lockdowns, understanding what to do, thinking about safety and security, being aware watching the physical campus, the physical plan of the building, our students, and it just seems like these things are happening more frequently and certainly closer to home. So everyone here, everyone watching, it's another stark reminder of the burden that those of us who work in education have volunteered to assume is ever present. And when you're talking about teachers who are coming up here and just want to talk about their craft and teaching kids and doing great things, it's one news story away from going from the back of their brain to the front of their brain. Like, learning targets are important and everything, but gosh, life and death situations are happening and could happen, and what would I do? And don't think for a second that teachers and folks that work with kids are asking themselves that question every day. What would I do if? So your support as a community, understanding the burden and the stress that our educators deal with as a result of even considering what that might mean for them in their classroom or in their building, we deeply appreciate. With that, I yield back the balance of our time, Madam President.
Thank you. Motion to adjourn.
Support.
Okay. Dr. Novak?
Aye.
Mr. Lefkow?
Aye.
Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Mrs. LeBar?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Van Wagner? Mrs. Bottom says aye.
First vote was to end the meeting.
Yes.
Jack is taking notes.
Meeting adjourned.
Tough, Casey.
Hey, Jack, you got me?